Hi, I'm Steve with Race Car Engineering, and today we're doing Tech Tip Tuesday. What we'll be talking about today is rack and pinion steerings. We get a lot of customers that call in and they're not exactly sure what they're wanting or what the numbers mean on a rack. So we're going to try to give you that information today, and we'll start with this rack over here. So this is a non-integrated rack, which means the servo will be remote mounted. This is the servo, and the servos come in several different sizes, ranging anywhere from like 180 to 250, and the difference in them is when you get a 180, it'll be a real soft steering, like very easy to turn. You won't feel as much of the chassis input on your wheels because it turns so easy, kind of like driving a car on ice. If you went with a 250 ratio servo, that'll be a stiffer steering. It'll tire you out a little more, but you'll get more of the feedback from the car. If your car's tight or loose, whatever that is, will translate more into the steering, give you more feeling. This rack over here is an integrated rack, which means the servo is built onto the rack. A lot of wet sump cars, dirt late models, things like that use the integrated rack where they have a little bit more room to mount it. So going back to the racks, this is a sweet rack and pinion steering, and a majority of cars will use an 18.25 inch rack. And how they measure that is from the center of the rack or the heim joint on the end of the tie rod to center of heim joint. That's 18.25 inches. That's usually determined by your chassis lower pickup points. There's several different ones. You can have a 19-inch rack, you can have shorter racks, and in today's world with the ever-evolving technology, people are changing this daily. So it just find your chassis manufacturer or what you feel like you need for your car, and to determine that length, you'll measure from center to center on that rack. Now, once you figure out the length, it'll be 18.25, and this one here is stamped 18.25. Now you want to know how quick you want your wheels to turn. Like, do you want to have to put a lot of steering wheel input to go around the corner, or do you just barely want to move your hands to make that same corner? That ratio is also stamped on top of the rack here, and that'll be like a 2.25, 2.5, all the way up to maybe 4, 4.5. And what that determines is how many turns of the steering wheel it takes to move that. So if I put a mark on this pinion right now, I'll put a mark right here, and I'll make one revolution with this pinion, and we'll take a measurement here from the edge of the rack over to the pinion is 2.5 inches, to the center of the eye is 2.5 inches. When I turn this one revolution and come back to my mark here, that's the mark, and that number is 5.5 inches. So that's a 3-inch rack. So when you turn the pinion one turn, it will move your tie rod centers 3 inches to the left or 3 inches to the right. If that was a 2.5 inch rack, that would move 2.5 inches or 2.25. A lot of the dirt cars, things like that, younger kids even today are wanting quicker steering. In the dirt world, they get up to 4.5 inches because they move their tires so quickly. In asphalt pavement late models, a very common number is a 3-inch rack. So again, just figuring out if you want an integrated rack or non-integrated rack. Figuring out your rack eye center to center is usually dictated by your lower control arm points, and then what ratio of rack you want to have. And there's also different eyes that you can have on the end of a rack. So you see on these two racks, one has the slotted eyes facing up and the other has the slotted eyes facing down. Again, that comes back to your chassis manufacturers. And there's other eyes that you can put on a rack that aren't slotted. There's several different options for that. The niceness of the slotted eyes, that makes it real easy to adjust your bump steer, because you can just loosen the bolt and slide the tie rod up or down, adjusting your bump steer. For today, that's all we have. We'll come back next Tuesday with another Tech Tip Tuesday. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in any of the parts we talked about today, give one of our salesmen a call at 800-882-7231 or visit our brand new website, racecareng.com, to order all your parts online.